Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Dave. David? Katie? 2 minutes. Well, everybody, get rid of the microphone. Okay. So, Chief, Assistant Chief Garrison. Great. So we'll go to approve minutes. We're looking for a motion in a second to approve the July 1st, 2024 village board meeting minutes, the July 1st, 2024 committee of the whole, and to file the May 28th, 2024 planning commission, the June 3rd, 2024 finance and personnel committee, the June 10th board of public works, the June 11th public safety committee, the June 12th, 2024 architectural review board, the June 25th, 2024 joint review board meeting minutes as presented.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Any changes, additions, deletions?
I have a question for Jesse. In the minutes for the village board meeting, you said there might be something back the July 15th meeting. Pertaining to Martini Pete's, and there isn't anything.
I will be able to touch on that during my administrator's report. You bet.
Very good. Any questions? Additions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on the agenda? Item? Don't be afraid of the podium. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harback. Well, very good. We appreciate that. All right. Seeing today, that's amazing. And we'll go right to resolution ordinances action items report the planning commission. That'd be Jessica.
Jessica will take the lead on that. I will be placing the
That was actually corrected this morning. I did notice that myself too. Did you by any chance check it later in the day? I apologize about that.
Okay, back to order here. For planning commission, ready?
yes, and I will have Assistant Administrator Wolf take the lead as the introduction of it, and we do have the presentation here as well.
So we are nearing the end of the adoption process for the new proposed tax increment financing district number 6. We've had a series of meetings already, and so including the Community Development Authority, the Joint Review Board, and the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission meeting also included the required public hearing of this tax increment project plan. Meredith Burks, Associates, is here to give us an overview presentation on the project plan, and then we'll be able to take
Thank you very much, Jessica. Great to be here again this evening. Recognize a few faces from last presentation. So for those of you that were at the Plan Commission or JRB meeting, all of this information will be the same. Some of the slides will be the same. And then all the information presented and discussed tonight. So these projects and be discussing. So as Jessica said, my name is Meredith Perks. I'm with Vanderwall and Associates. And so we've been working with the village on the creation, the study to create SID number 6, along with Ellers and city staff or village staff to propose this new TIF district. And the focus of this district, the kind of impetus to get this process started is really the redevelopment of the Falmberg, or excuse me, the Goldberg boundary, and the remediation of that site to prepare it for redevelopment. So that is what TIF really is all about. It is probably a municipality in Wisconsin's best tool for economic development and creating transformation. So that is the kind of start to this process and what we came in looking to study. And so what we'd like to share information on tonight. So the proposed TID 6 would be a blighted TIF district. The state statutes have a few different types of TIDs that you can create. So creating a blight district requires the village to do a study and determine that more than 50% or no less than 50% of property in the district meets the state definition of blight. Completing that study in this process found that you meet that requirement. There's 60% of the area meets blight, and I will show a map of that in just a moment. And going with a blighted TIF district also has some implications on the expenditure period and the overall life. So we're looking at in this situation 22 years of spending potential and 27-year the district. Next slide gives us some information about what the state under the state statutes, how we define right? Blight can kind of sound like a judgmental word or negative word, or you might immediately, conjure certain images when you hear blight. But what it's really indicating is you can see a wide range of items that would count as blight, and it's just really trying to describe conditions that make it a little bit more difficult or challenging to attract investments on its own, or where investment would have a really impact for the neighborhood and for the, so there are kind of specific definitions according to state statutes. Another requirement of creating a TIF district is the village has to demonstrate based on equalized value that no more than 12% of the total equalized taxable property in the village is kind of occupied. So you have to take the equalized value of taxable property in the new district plus the increment, the value increment of all the existing districts you have to make sure that you do not exceed 12%. So the purpose of this slide is to demonstrate that 10.6% is the score. So you meet that criteria and you are eligible. The proposed TID 6 boundary.
Slideshow decided not to participate. There we go. Thank you.
Here you'll see the TID district boundary, and it has 56 parcels, covers about 35 acres. See in the green area, that's actually the existing TID 3 boundary. So where the green is in the district, that's the area of overlap.
And Meredith, I just want to, sorry to interrupt, I just want to point out there were questions in the past about how the relationship works between those overlap parcels with 3 and the new proposed 6. And the way that would work is that if the TID is adopted, the existing increment that is going to 3 that was generated by 3 will continue to go to District 3. And then we would kind of start the clock again, and new increment generated after the date of adoption would be contributed to District 6. So there is that kind of start and stop date for overlap. After TID 3 closes in 3 years, all of the tax increment will go to 6.
All right, yep, no, perfect, thank you. So the creation, as I said, of this district was, to fund the environmental remediation on the Goldberg boundary and redevelopment of that site, preparing it for redevelopment. So the kind of boundary of TID 6 is meeting, state requirements about having contiguous parcels and those types of things, while also trying to pull in parcels that have the potential to redevelop to create increment and drive the district while also meeting standards. So you do have to kind of get strategic about which parcels you include, and kept it, fairly conservative, relatively small. Pick the ones, the areas needed to particular the goals of communication. So this is the map that illustrating the blight study that was completed by the village. So these are just the particular parcels that were identified, but this doesn't carry any other consequence other than helping the village pass the 50%. click through, sorry, Jesse, but there's a few animations here where we were trying to identify some of the redevelopment opportunities that we see within the TID, that could help drive, and generate increment, for the district. So there's, at the top, location is, single family residential subdivision. There's also the boundary and the remediation, potential mixed use or future development there. And then there are the bottom three, or the last three that were highlighted, are just potential, maybe slightly underutilized commercial opportunities that could see either redevelopment and improvement that could drive and value increases. So this table kind of illustrates what was shown in that map. So what we are seeing as those development assumptions and what could happen in the district over its life, and we kind of put it to a phasing schedule. It's not a crystal ball. It doesn't, we don't know this is exactly how this will play out timing wise, but we can start to understand when new increment might be coming to the district. It's that timing information to think about expenditures and borrowing and things like that. So out of this study, we estimate that the total development increment created is just over about $17.8 million value. And again, we're not held in the project plan to this particular timing. It just helps us sort of phase things out. We'll see as well that there's really no proposed or assumed development after year 11 in this situation. So sort of front loading, expecting that this redevelopment would happen sort of in the first half of the TIF life, and so really kind of emphasizing the ready to go-ness of these projects. So, next slide, we start to look at how we demonstrate the financial feasibility of the district, and one first step in that is projecting the potential tax increment. So thinking about estimating the revenue that would be coming into the district. So this shows that we start with a base value up in that top right corner. Thank you. Just under 14 million. And use the base tax rate of kind of the current, based on the current tax rate of 14.48 for $1,000 in equalized value. So we use a steady tax rate over the course of the TID life to project this increment. I feel like that's a kind of conservative way to estimate. Things could always change, but that sort of steady tax rate, we can work from that. So as the development occurs in the district, the value of the district increases, and we're accounting for inflation. So we also calculate the tax revenues, as I said. So we're kind of estimating a projected increment of almost 9.5 million over the life. So with that being an estimate on income or revenue to the district, we also look at potential expenditures of projects. The village is able to identify priority projects where increment could be spent for a public benefit. So we look at potential capital projects, infrastructure, real estate acquisition, development incentives. These are all eligible costs under the TIF statutes. And so this is also part of that. So you'll see when you look through the full project plan and in this table that there are prioritized projects, priority 1, 2, and 3. The cash flow estimates only looked at priority 1's projects. Priority 2 and 3 projects are considered contingent. So if at the end of, over the course of this TID, there is additional increment that wasn't accounted for, you can look to priority 2 projects. So you'll see that they're organized between capital, infrastructure, the different types of eligible costs, as well as some administrative expenses and economic development. Projects and expenditures from the TIF district can occur within the boundary of the TID, but also within a half-mile radius of the TID. And so that's only for the expenditure, meaning or the funds for a public benefit. And we have to indicate in the project plan which projects are eligible within the half-mile radius. So if you're looking at the table or in the project plan, that's identified with an asterisk. So wanted to have the planning commission and JRB discussions. One thing we did see was a lot of interest in the supposed a facade program, home improvement facade program. That would be a new program for the village. It is not yet determined exactly how that would operate. It has $500,000 set aside for it. Wanted to call your attention to that, as I said, there was a lot of interest. It would likely be, according to, village staff, something that would get capitalized as increment is coming in, not something that is going to start on day one of the TID, but once there's increment. So it's a kind of a future program. But at this time, the improvement facade program is not indicated to be spent or to be available in the half-mile radius, but would only be allowed in district boundary. So with that level of interest, just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. And there's kind of a couple of options, you could determine tonight that you would like to see the future facade program available in the half-mile radius. And we can make an amendment and take that to the JRB for the approval there without, additional approvals after. Or since this won't be something that happens right away, it's a little bit down the line, could go and amend the project plan, go through these approvals again, but you can amend the project plan to allow this facade room to be spent in half-mile. So, and just to jump in, yeah.
Right, and I just want to point out too that, based on the level of interest that we've received, I think that, and as Mary said, the CDA, staff needs to work with the CDA to establish the policies and procedures for this home improvement program, right? And that based on the level of interest that we received, we would certainly want to start with homes within the boundary itself, because again, the point of having the home improvement grant program is to repair homes and create more value to feed for other projects within the district. So again, if we were to give grant funds to houses outside of the district, but within the half-mile, they are not feeding into the increment that is created in the district. It's certainly an option and to allow especially after maybe we exhausted interest within the district itself, to then open it up to houses within the half-mile. But it is kind of a process again to amend and to update the TID project plan. So we wanted to get some feedback from the board if there was a strong feeling right now to maybe prioritize within the district, but also allow in the future grant awards within the half-mile. We should do that now. If there's not a strong feeling, or there's a strong feeling to focus on the district boundary right now, we would keep the project plan as it is. President Delort, we'd be looking for direction from the board on that tonight. We can finish the presentation and then maybe we can have a discussion on that.
So with all these potential expenditures, we total the priority ones at about 6. Part of the financial feasibility study is the estimated sort of financing plan. Ellers took a look at bonding and how this might work over the life of the TID, and they estimate 2 borrowings are planned for the full amount of capital needed over the life of the project or the boundary or district. Excuse me. So with the first borrowing covering site preparation costs. So it looks like it would be a total of 2.83 million would be borrowed at estimating, for existing conditions and projecting these things can change, but borrowed at about 4.5 interest rate, and that would be paid back over the course of the 27 years. TID. As was identified in the expenditures, there are developer incentives, economic development incentives identified. Talking with village staff, any incentive decision would be likely pay as you go. So you would be working with the developer as they are delivering the project or the increment is coming into the project, they receive that incentive. So that is how those would likely be structured. And of course, the board has the opportunity to approve these, there's no set in stone or predetermined, just because you're in the district, you're going to receive, it's decided. And so this is kind of one of the last steps of the financial feasibility, and so determining that these things are, this is a financially feasible district. So bring everything together in this cash flow analysis, that's revenue, borrowing, expenditures, and then the ultimate balance. You may see that, I know it's hard on the page and probably on these printouts too, but in the project plan, there are some years showing a negative balance, but at the end of the life of the district, these costs are paid off by. So there are some times where there will be a negative estimate that all expenditures are recovered by. So these are we kind of are making these estimates, as I said, in a more challenging environment. Higher interest rates, higher costs for construction costs, those types of things, but try to make conservative estimates of worst case scenarios that's feasible, and that these circumstances specifics could change. So that is the kind of space information about the proposed HID 6. Moving into the next steps, as Jessica highlighted, we've had a number of meetings and discussions with various boards about this far. So we're here tonight for your adoption and then final approval with the JRB in their second next. And so then we will work after that is completed, work behind the scenes to complete all the documents and everything that has to go to the DOR, and that is filed by the end of completed start date this year. It's my presentation. Happy to take questions or have discussion on.
Answer the question. Half mile, we'll read the here and then we'll come back again. Dave, comments, questions?
It was kind of hard to actually trace out what the district actually was. Everything is west of the river.
We kind of describe it as like Washington, 60 to Shoreland, and then 17th to 9th.
Actually, 17.
60.
Six.
Or no, would be.
Did I 13th? Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else, Dave?
Trustee Armstrong, do you support using the facade program inside the district or inside the district and within Hamlet? Inside.
Thank you.
I'd like to see the grant program within the district. However, I think we put a certain time frame on it, and if we don't use up all the funds, then extend it to the Hamlet.
And then we could, if at such time we decide to do that, we could do it in the future, do an amendment. Okay. Okay.
Anything else, Rick? Jim?
I oppose this at CDA, and I continue to oppose it. I like the idea of demolishing the Goldberg and concrete. I think that's very important. I think there's a lot of wants, not needs, in this particular proposal. We're getting rid of one, HID number 3 in 3 years. Now we're gonna have another one. I can't get ahead. So, and I'm concerned about line 20 where it's kind of open-ended as far as costs are concerned.
Line 20 being the expenditures of the project.
The administrative and professional.
Right.
There are administrative costs involved.
Sure.
It's.
So I continue to oppose.
Okay.
My first question is, who determines the blighting areas? People that do that too.
I did.
As far as the overlap, that little area, why do we think that there's, is there a benefit to do it?
besides taking a different area and adding it to six instead of overlapping?
So it depends on the parcel, like, for example, parcel 48, is the Shuley building. It's possible that, over the life of the TID, the next 22 years, that the Shuley building will redevelop, or that something could happen there. So I decided to include it, because it didn't happen during the life of TID 3, but it might happen during life of TID 6. Or I'm capturing that. The other, it's similar like with parcels, 10, 11, 12. It's possible that that property may change hands or do something different with it and increase the value. Again, successful TIDs have an increase in value, significant increase in value over time. So we can capture and use those funds for our projects. So that's why I decided to include that. We included the parcel 19, which is our Grafton food truck site. Again, we may not want it to be a food truck site for the next 22 years. And we may want to have some level of improvement there. Again, we want to capture that change from 0 to whatever the future could be. And then the similarly parcel, everything south of Washington Street was added in as a result of the distinct possibility of a redevelopment increasing in value for during the next 22 years.
Thank you for clarifying that. I would be okay with the grant program starting within the TID. I'm also okay with amending that afterwards after it's exhausted, but if it's more beneficial for us to change that now. I'm fine with that.
Andrew.
The information that is presented in the plan seems to be a repeat of the original plan from its inception. So on like, for example, on page 8, that lists out some of the parcels that are in there. Just flat out, parcel 22 isn't owned by the village of Bradford. There's a homeowner under number 26, he doesn't own that home. So I'm just concerned about the datedness of the actual document itself, and that there's some inaccuracies. Concerned about that. On page 20 of the TID document, it specifically states there are no plans for the village to acquire property in the TID area. So what is our plan with the Goldberg boundary? It looks to me like we're going to have to obtain that property or condemn it, which is in section 12 of it. And I guess my question is that our plan? Are we going to condemn it and take it over and mediate it? Or are we buying it? I have been kind of concerned about that. Sure. Sure.
Sure. So the first question regarding data, the plan is a snapshot in time. Absolutely. So we did not spend the staff and consultant resources to update the parcel list every time. Yep. So that's obviously absolutely accurate. The statement about the villages having no intention to purchase property, and I think I clarified this at the Plan Commission public hearing, that the plan or that the goal for the Goldberg boundary would be for the county to do a tax foreclosure on the property and deed that property over to the village for a very short time in order to do the remediation and then turn around and sell it to whatever developer the village selects. So we can absolutely make a minor correction to the text that just says that the village intends to temporarily own the boundary site for cleanup and remediation and then to sell it.
Going foreclosure by the county. So we're not purchasing it off the market. We're taking it out of foreclosure.
One project. Great at Highway 50. How long did that signal redesigned when they left turn lane going eastbound? And when that project was done, how come the lagging left turn going eastbound wasn't included in the project by whatever design the traffic is? I just look at that and go, that's, that's a mistake in her.
Really, I feel grant, so they're very big about that. When it, why that was included at that time, we, as it is now restructured, that we, I think, safety issues for those. Are trying to turn more. That was included as a nice upgrade that and the paper.
Is there a possibility that grant money would be available to change that? Because obviously you're changing from a 3-head signal to a 5-head signal to make a left turn there on everything going eastbound. So, because I would prefer to explore that via grant than try to I am concerned about item 3 on the infrastructure, the village costs associated with the street reconstruction within a half mile. My understanding that's the State Highway 60 project. I'm concerned about kind of lumping that into the bid as far as costs are involved.
And here, a couple more here, because I'm probably gonna come back to you here. Okay, a couple more, Lisa.
Sure. I think it was, the redevelopment kind of in size 7. And it looks like you were talking about, I think the circle was over. But on the document we have on our desk, there are 2 circles, purple and gold.
Sorry, I completely took down the presentation.
There, yep, I have purples on the slide, so going from north to south, first circle is Ruby Grove. And then the boundary is circled, construction forms is circled, and then the all of the D&D cards building is circled, and the village's future escape.
Oh, that was not on the site.
Yep.
Sorry, we must not have boarded all. The second half.
Questions? Yep.
Because what we were looking at. So, and I have concerns that we have labeled 50%, to get a blighted area, to say we have to get up to 50% of the parcels that are blighted. And many of those are people's homes. Many are homes that, and I think Tom Ricker did a walk around, said he thought that they only needed some simple things. So I have a concern with those people having that label. I know, you're saying that it doesn't really have any negativity, but certainly the definitions that you showed are nothing positive. I also am worried about what we're going to find when we do, when we dig more into the Goldberg Foundry. I'm worried about our legal responsibility, and I'm worried about soil borings and what that's going to show. Especially because we have construction forms. Sure.
I think it seems like just an opinion, not something that staff interest.
Yeah, but
We don't think,
you regress.
so we done significant research.
So, and then the last item is that other meetings that village is not supposed to be landowner. We're not here to really define property. Yeah, this is going to be something I understand now that we're going to acquire it by asking for it from the county. But, here we are again, we're going to be a landowner and we're going to try to remediate it. And hopefully we won't have to spend more than was anticipated. But, these are too many things outside of our control. Okay.
The projections that are in the table 4 on page 3 of the bid document. The projections for me, the 3 that are kind of, well, the ones that bother me, I guess all of them bother me. the two of them up front for the 3 million and 3 million for the single family subdivision. I can support that because I agree that that will probably occur, but I don't think the timing of it is going to be that soon. The Goldberg Foundry redevelopment, the gain there for me says high density, high multi-story building, not really in the flavor of the neighborhood that's around it. So I'm concerned that because that dollar amount is so high in that projection, that's going to become the only quote unquote acceptable development there, and I don't think the people that live around that are going to accept that. I don't foresee the gas station, the Clark station redeveloping at the amount of money that's in there. And I think that our next bugaboo in all of this, because it's right next door, is the construction forms property. I know at the meeting, the previous meeting to this, the president was there, and he said, you know, we chased this for $5 million and about 99% for. Feel like no one is going to ever buy that property without it having to wash through us at some point in time to say that it's going to be redeveloped. I just feel like we're going to end up acquiring that property at some point in time. So I just the revenue projections I don't really agree with that's in here, and I'm just kind of concerned that this is going to develop into TID 2 and TID 3. Where we're borrowing money from 5 to pay for something else, because 5 was very successful because of the lack of development there, and now it's Costco and all that sort of stuff. So I think the increment there was huge. I just don't see the increment in this district being enough to pay for some of the stuff that we're gonna inquire. And so I think it needs to be. Again, I agree with Jim. I'm in favor. We need to do something with the Goldberg property, but the vehicle here to me isn't. This isn't fleshed out enough, because I'd really like to see just straight up the priority of we need to get rid of that and we need to build something that is compatible in the neighborhood. So I think the revenue projections to me are high, but I don't see it working out. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment? Okay. We definitely have something we go over. The second thing is there seems to be some, I wouldn't say lack of trust of the committees that we meet here that would be able to come through and look at each one of these additional projects, whether they're priority 1 or priority 2. There are no guarantees we have to spend, that we have to spend money on any one of these projects other than the Goldberg Foundry at this point in time. And from my perspective, it's spend as you go. We're going to be spending anything outside of what we have. And I think frankly, in that area, I think there are some houses that could definitely benefit from dollars that we have there for facade improvement, as well as businesses that could also improve the way things look on Highway 60. So my idea on that is I'm positive on this, and I would say that we keep this within the half mile. And if there's going to be any change in the future, that we utilize the committees to go through to see if in fact that this is something we want to expand outside of the half mile. So any further discussion on this? Okay, with this, it appears we are going to be needing an offer of motion. Second.
I'll make the offer.
Motion.
I'll second.
Offer of motion. Second. Vote on this. All in favor, say aye. We close the discussion at this point.
On the budget resolution, it says created effective January 1st, 2024. Is that correct?
Yep.
This one, like.
And I just have a question on our agenda. It just says motion. It doesn't say a resolution.
Correct. Offer of motion. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 43. Nay.
Next.
Nay, show of hands for nay. Okay. Very good. Let's go to a report of finance and business.
Absolutely. One item coming out of Finance Personnel Committee would be a resolution amending the 2024 budget. This is a housekeeping resolution which we pass on an annual basis. It does vary in time throughout the year in different parts of the year. However, basically the premise of it is the fact that during the budget process, when establishing the annual budget, the village board approves and adopts the overall village budget with a unclassified wage reserve account holding all of the funds associated with the COLA, the merit-based wage increases for staff. That being said, as those are borne out through and calculated through the start of the year, we then look to move money with a budget amendment, hence the resolution, from that unclassified wage reserve account out into the various activity areas, general government, public safety, public works, and so forth, in order to make the departmental budgets whole with regards to those wage adjustments. This is that housekeeping resolution before the village board, coming with a recommendation from finance personnel.
All right, need a motion in a second.
Offer up resolution. Offer motion second with the resolution.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, let's go to the report of Public Works.
Certainly, as by way of introduction, Director Thomas is here this evening to be able to, and Assistant Director Grease are here this evening to be able to speak to any of these items in greater detail. But by way of introduction, we've got our first item for the contract for the microsurface Village Road account to Farner Asphalt Sealers LLC for a contract cost not to exceed $130,000. This is that, in essence, that heavy-duty seal coating measures that we've adopted over the last few years here to help preserve and retain the condition of a road and extend its useful life, thus alleviating the need to do heavier replacement or milling projects. So this hybrid approach is actually starting to pay dividends here in the village, where we're able to focus and improve more lane mileage in a given year. With a combination of this project such as this, but also our general reconstruction work. So that being said, this is coming as a recommendation from the Board of Public Works Committee, not to exceed $130,000.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to recommend to the village board, recommend the village board award project 4-03 microsurface village roads to Farner Asphalt Sealers LLC for a contract cost not to exceed $100,000.
Make a motion.
We have a motion and second. Discussion on this. Jim?
Amber, have we used before?
Same product that we do here for year, it is a different contract. And it's sort of good things about their work and their work instead of others.
Discussion?
I didn't catch the motion and the second on that. Who made the motion? Okay, thank you. Who made the second? Thank you.
Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Second motion, looking to award a contract. Hockey. Jesse?
Yeah, this project is a cost for a not to exceed cost of $27,007. This is for work associated with bridge joint repairs on Falls Road and Highway 60. Again, coming forward with a positive recommendation out of Board of Public Works.
Issues. So,
This coming out of this year's budget, then that will generate an estimate of what the cost of repairs would be responsible for in 2025. Thank you.
Opposed? No motion carries. Go to the developer project utilizing core and squared as consulting firms.
Correct. This is a contract proposal brought forward to bring on private consulting firms. This is coming out of Board of Public Works with a recommendation. Per village policy, any outside private inspection work exceeding what we expect to exceed $25,000 in cost must come through committee and village board for approval. That said, while exact costs are not exactly known, we are trying to play it safe and come through and get the appropriate level of approvals in the event that the overall costs for these outside inspection services does exceed $25,000. That said, these costs are generally speaking carried through to private developers. And that said, just looking to follow village policy and come through committee and village board for these inspection services. That being said, we still, as mentioned during last fall's budget process, the creation of the assistant engineer position does not completely preclude the village of need of outside help. There is a lot going on here in the village and we need a lot of area coverage, many projects covered and observed. So therefore, this outside help is absolutely necessary. That said, I know Director Thomas can add additional information to it.
Yeah, I certainly have a concern with pay for it. Any idea what we pay here?
One for one road, or one of our subdivisions, $6,000 total for the project, and it's going to go over that, and we were going to that, we come back and this.
I would think you could probably find it to the motion, but is there consensus here amongst the
Is that $50,000 in total? Per project or per developer, so some said maybe 200,000. The whole project's going on. I mean, a bit more than that, right? Seasons, but extensions and projects, and still have some going on in the meadow, how the wall, and things that come up throughout the year, more than that. I don't think we'll get anywhere near that amount. But one of the limits, I don't think you get over 50,000 for any specific per moment.
Makes sense.
Okay, so welcome to recommend to the village board to inspection services for 2024 village and development projects utilizing core incorporated and M squared as a consulting firm with a $50,000 cap.
I'll second.
Motion second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's go to one of the sewers. Need to get a contract on that.
We do. The DNR does require us to televise our system each year. This is a service contract to do that work, including some cleaning services as well, in an amount not to exceed $28,800 with Green Bay Pipe and TV out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Again, the recommendation is forthcoming from Board of Public Works.
So, great service. Okay. So, recommend. To provide sanitary sewer management, cleaning and television services in a amount not to exceed $28,800. Motion and second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to go to the report of the Public Safety Committee. I want to thank Trustee Harbeck for letting us know we did not see this on the initial data that was non-initial on the agenda, but we did get it out this morning, correct?
Yes, the board, actually, the set of information was actually originally published with the Public Safety Committee packet last week. That said, it was not included with the village board packet. However, that was updated. The packet was updated this morning and the information had already been forwarded to the village board members.
So I do want to reach with so just to double check, see any hands there. So let's go ahead and
Absolutely. As part of the approved capital budget for this year in the amount of $46,000, the funding sources being Act 12 from the state of Wisconsin and then federal ARPA funds, a combination of that to help fund the locker room improvement project at the police department. This would look to update both the men's and women's locker rooms with updated plumbing fixtures as well as ensuring proper hot water flow and tiling and also general basic remodeling work to improve the locker room conditions. They are original to the building and they are struggling to function properly. So therefore, this has been brought forward. Chief Caponera did compile the bids. Those were attached to the IFC and outlining the scope of work as well as the dollars and cents involved. That said, the requested action is to approve an amount not to exceed the $46,000 that is budgeted in accord with the bids that were received.
all right, bring this to the table with the motion and something to recommend the public committee approve, or that the village board approves the public safety committee approved locker room enhancement using lakeshore kitchen and bath for shower and tile and mud pan replacement, golf plumbing for the plumbing work, and surgical painters for the painting and amount of $46,000. Motion and second. Any questions? Lisa.
Chief, thank you for providing all this information. This is exactly what I want to see when I'm looking at a bid. Specifics, where I can ask a question back and forth. So I think you've already done it. So thank you for that. And I do just have a question about the fact that you're asking to replace some items, but then is it true that the water heater is 20 years old?
Well, I'm sorry for coming.
And I'm sorry, can I speak louder? Is it true that the water heater is 20 years old?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
and there's
Plumbers that came out. A couple of plumbers recommended we replace it using an anchor system. One plumber recommended that we not replace it, but instead add a circulating pump to the line that would help pump the water to the locker rooms downstairs. It would, number one, it would save costs of water because right now it takes about 40 minutes for the water to get hot down in the showers. So it would alleviate the burden on the existing pump that's coming out of the unit. Since it would also prolong the life of the water heater itself. So what that constant flow of water being processed down to the water is going to be helpful. So we went with that option because it was a little less expensive than replacing the entire system, which would have been about. And he did an inspection of the unit itself, and he said it's in good shape.
That's fantastic. So if and when the water heater goes out, would you be looking to do the tankless type of style that then you wouldn't need the circulator?
That's all going to depend on when it goes out.
Okay.
Could say if, could say when, it will, but right now. if it were to go out tomorrow, the parts are available to just. Actual unit would be available to replace and would be easily installed, whereas a tankless system would take a while to get installed. Because there's electrical and there's gas and everything that we have to do, exhaust to the building to get it.
And I guess the only other thing was, I did notice that you chose two of the three parts of the black room bids that were over the least expensive.
Yeah, that's correct. They were the mid road. And I took a look at the bids. I took a look at the items that were included in the bids. And the items that are in the mid bid are actually, you're getting more bang for your buck, so to speak. They've actually included more in there. If you take, for example, Cole's flooring, yeah, Cole does it, they do the tile, but they don't add a shower door and they don't do the other shower inserts inside the deal. They just provide the tile. So we're really, for that one, it wasn't, they didn't do a full scope, but everything was asked.
And on Kohl's floor covering bid, it says it was sold to all my friends.
Yeah.
And it was gonna be shipped to Grafton Police Department.
Yeah, that's correct. We had addressed that with them. We used them when we did the sensory room. They provided it, so they had it existing in their atmosphere.
Okay, that was an interesting little.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Chief, thank you for the bid also. My concern is similar. Lakeshore was $20,700. Poles was $16,909 for a difference of $38.69. Then we go to plumbing. All plumbing was $17,816. Bergen was $15,922 for a difference of $18.94. If you total those two up, we come in at $5,763.
Yeah, correct. So, as I stated earlier, that those two bids actually have more in them than the other bids. For example, the Gall plumbing actually includes a countertop system in both the men's and women's, where the other one doesn't. It just provides for a new sink. And Gall's plumbing actually provided me with a listing of all the features, the plumbing features that they're going to be using in there, with the exact cost of those, which the other bid did not do. So I really wanted to take a look at what I was getting for the money, and I feel like we're getting better bang for our buck if we went with those.
And you're still within budget.
And still within and under budget. And it does leave me with a little bit of a buffer should something come up. The other thing is, Gulf Plumbing will also scope my drain system and clean it out. The other plumbers didn't offer that.
Any further questions?
Sorry, can I ask one? Are the companies that you chose, are they able to get started as soon as you give them the okay?
Yeah, that's correct. They're able to get started within a month, and it's gonna take me a little bit of time to coordinate them, because I've got to lay out the project timeline. So as I'm managing the project, it's not like we did it with a contractor, so I'm gonna have to work my way through it with all of them and try to coordinate all that. So yeah, but they did all assure me that they could get started within them.
Okay. I'm gonna hope real hard that water here lasts.
Hopes and prayers. Okay. Any further comment? In favor, say aye. Aye. Approval of the purchase of the new Ford F-550 with utility body and training for the 12 Ford. $215,114. I understand this is coming to us instead of to Public Works because of a timing issue.
Correct. This is in response to market conditions. This actually starts back last year, when this was a budgeted expense last year. Due to state restrictions on purchasing through their program and the availability of inventory, we couldn't get it. So the dollars were carried over and maintained and retained within the utility, as that is a standalone fund. That said, staff continued researching and looking for available inventory due to the fact that the crane truck that was due for replacement is actually getting to the point of being unable to handle some of our bigger pumps and at our larger lift stations. That said, an upgrade is needed. So with that, this particular model, the 2024 Ford F-550 with the larger crane came available through a state bidder, Ewald's Hartford Ford. And with the timing of receiving that information, being able to verify the spec that it meets our needs, we were unable to get it into the Board of Public Works packet. Therefore, it is coming directly to the village board for consideration this evening. The dollars and cents are still available. They were retained within the utility, as I mentioned previously. So therefore, they are there and available to utilize for this purchase. That said, this is not a unique situation. We have authorized vehicle purchases for other departments at the village board level because of market-related conditions in the past. So while not the preferred option, it is coming through for review and consideration by the village board.
Okay, I'll be looking for a motion for approval of purchase of the 2024 Ford F-50 utility body and crane for Ewald Hartford Ford for a price.
I'll second it.
Second. First.
And I just wanna, just to clarify, that even though we received nothing back from Eric von Schlehorn and Schmidt Brothers, that's how it has getting a bid, because we went and asked them to apply them.
Response does count as a response, if that makes sense, because we did solicit state vendors. They apparently just didn't have the inventory, so we were happy that we did find the inventory, so. So in 2023, there was a cap on what a municipality could purchase through the state program, but also what we were speccing. So it was a combination of things, as I understand the situation. And Brecken, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but the way I understand the situation is last year in 23, it was a combination of issues. The cap set by the state on what you can order because of inventory and what we were speccing out specifically. That said, staff stayed diligent on it because they knew the need for the upgrade. And that said, this came available, and so we wanted to bring it forward as quickly as we could.
As far as think lifting pump or something like that would still spec out for.
This will be more for your ability to pretty much make me more.
Is this what we did talk about though? Public Works at the end of the meeting? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Opposed? Jesse, let's go to the judge's report.
Absolutely, just a handful of items this evening. Starting off with the question Trustee Schwartz raised earlier, an update regarding Martini Pete's. Martini Pete's has completely closed their doors and ceased operations. Therefore, no renewal is being brought forward to the village board. A new license will be needed. That said, the village has 4 reserve liquor licenses available. Those are the licenses that are available at $10,000 each. The new owner operator will be required to submit for one of those licenses. That is why a renewal is not in front of the village board, because they have completely ceased operations. That said, switching gears, leading up to or looking ahead to the August 13th partisan primary election, the clerk's office has election inspector training scheduled for this week. An on-site visit per the request of Village Point Commons next week to help assist with in-person absentee voting. And then on July 30th, in-person absentee voting starts here at Village Hall, and that will run for a couple of weeks prior and then close out. And then the partisan primary on August 13th will be held in the customary polling location. Happy to report, as the board knows, we changed liability insurance carriers to Cities and Villages Mutual Insurance Company, CIVMIC. And the Village of Grafton was recently recognized at the annual meeting, at CIVMIC's annual meeting, as the most active small community partner. And what is meant by most active small community partner is that village staff has utilized many of the amenities and benefits provided to the village through the insurance premium that we pay, in-person and online training, utilizing CIVMIC with general inquiries and research, utilizing online templates for work rules, the creation of work rules and procedures, participation in roundtable discussions. We are very active, in particular, in the human resources and the IT roundtable discussions that are hosted by CIVMIC. We also take advantage of the networking opportunities with member communities just to stay abreast of best practices in different areas. As well as we have here in the Village of Grafton fully implemented CIVMIC's online platform. We are able to schedule and track employee training. We are able to track onboarding and document that all necessary items have been covered with each employee. And so that said, we are have been recognized by CIVMIC as the most active small community partner. I want to be very clear, though, this does not speak to any claim activity. This is specifically how the village is utilizing CIVMIC as a resource to take preventative measures, to ensure proper training, to really look to move forward and be proactive in basically avoiding claims, quite frankly. So that said, a really nice recognition provided to the village by the CIVMIC insurance company. That said, a little bit lightheartedly, I do want to report with a heavy heart that earlier today, our 29-year-old Village Hall refrigerator passed on and completely stopped working. That said, in all seriousness, the village board will see in a future report of bills an unbudgeted expense for a replacement refrigerator here at Village Hall. But it served the village well, and we made the most of it. But yes, that will be forthcoming as a reported expense, however unbudgeted. So that is my report for this evening. Thank you.
Right. Go to licenses. I'll look for a motion to licenses as submitted. A motion. Second. Favor, or if there's really gonna be any discussion here, let's go with anybody discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. That motion carries. Let's go to anything come back to us. So are there any questions about the bill? Motion and second. Any discussion on the bill?
I have a question. And there's in for the bill, there's the trustee, the one that doesn't have a numeral after it. Let's see. It had to do with the heating and air conditioning here at the Village Hall. What happened? Like a $2,000 bill or something.
We had, well, actually, we've experienced a couple of problems over time. We had recently one repair for a clogged condenser drain. That is what comes to the top of my head right now. If that is not the one, what I can do is look further into the invoices and provide a report back to the village board.
I'll second.
So, start.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're going to close session here. We're 10. Does anybody need